the best class, in my opinion. It's not the biggest class, so it's not number one. And I don't even know if this counts as a team that we haven't talked a lot about it, but I do think that we've overlooked them, and that's Oregon, Andy. I mean, if you go look at Oregon's...
Oh, yeah, no, I think you're right, because I think our assumption is Oregon can't possibly be as good as they were last year. They were the best team in the regular season last year. They were the clear number one seed in the playoff. They won the Big Ten. Had they not had to play Ohio State right out of the gate in Rose Bowl, probably would have gone, into the playoff and would have gotten closer to a national title. I don't know that they're going to be that different, and they might actually be better based on what they got this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot is hanging on the shoulders of Dante Moore, right? And I think that we aren't 100% clear on what that looks like. But if Dante Moore went into obscurity after being a five-star prospect that was thrust into a dysfunctional situation as a true freshman at UCLA and actually got really, really good, like, has anybody stopped to question what if Dante Moore is a top 5 quarterback in college football this year? I think that we've taken him for granted, or at least sold him short of his potential. I don't know for sure what that's going to look like. I'm very intrigued and excited to see what it looks like, but I have pretty high hopes for him. But then when you look at the players that they brought in, they have the most proven, really good players coming in of anybody. They don't have the largest class. I think they have 11 or 12 incoming transfers this year.
They have 11. And that's kind of like Ohio State last year. Ohio State, I think, had 8.
Which to me is an assertion of health, right? You are recruiting well enough where you do not need to bring in 30 guys to make sure you don't have a disaster. They have a roster they feel good about. They didn't have to go get a quarterback. And they were able to bring in pieces that were difference makers at a lower level, meaning amount. They got better players at less positions because they had less needs than other teams, which is the healthiest way to do it. To me, this is the perfect draft. This is the perfect transfer class. I know that people get excited about 30 and 26 and 34. I don't know if I were a coach, if I would want 34 players to come in. So if you look at the 11 players that they brought in, Emmanuel Pregnon, the offensive lineman, and we don't talk about offensive linemen on the pod.
But he would have been USC's best returning offensive lineman. Now he starts for Oregon.
Mekhi Hughes, who I think is college football's leading rusher last year.
Returning rusher,
right. Not Ashton Genty by any stretch of the imagination, but was one of the 3 best running backs at the lower level. And I think is going to be highly productive. They brought in Isaiah World, an offensive tackle from Nevada, who I think analysts are saying was the second or first best offensive tackle transfer prospect in the entire thing. They also brought in Bear Alexander, which I think is a speculative play.
Yeah, it made me shake my head
hands up, but also too, what if he's good? Can we stop to think like what if he's good?
I think we know by this point. Okay. I think we've seen what we need to see, but we'll see. Dan Lanning knows this better than I do.
This wouldn't be a podcast if I didn't say his name, Andy.
I know.
And then, of course, Dylan Thieneman, the safety from... You like how I can say Thieneman, but I can't say Castellanos? Isn't that hilarious?
Like, it is very strange. But you've got the Castellanos thing down now. I think you've practiced.
Wait till tomorrow. But I think might be an All-American safety. So you think about safety, 2 offensive linemen, interior defensive linemen, electric running back, and feeling pretty good about your quarterback. Not to mention they have some pieces in place already. I think it's a shame that Evan Stewart got injured because he would have been, I think, a really productive and important piece of their offense this year. He's out with was it a knee injury, Andy? Did he blow his knee out in spring?
I believe it's a knee injury, a patella tendon, I think.
Yeah. But Oregon, you have number 6. So you were a little bit higher, but if I could go back and look at maybe the rankings, I might think, because I think I put them at 9. I think 6 is probably more appropriate.
It just depends, because that cluster at the top of the Big Ten, whoever wins the Big Ten is going to be in the top 3.
I think I put Illinois ahead of Oregon, though, and maybe that'll turn out to be right. I don't know, but I have Oregon in my playoff. Excuse me.
Yeah, and they should be, and we should probably consider them a perennial playoff team as long as Dan Lanning's there. The question really is, are they going to be better than last year? And it's tough because, they lose a first round defensive tackle and a first round offensive tackle, and they had a lot of talent that left. But to your point, most of the transfers they took are instant impact guys who were proven at their last place, and they're plugging in alongside guys that were very highly rated recruits that have been developing at Oregon. Like, that's the model that we think is supposed to be the one that's going to work most consistently. Now, we don't know that yet because this is basically a new era, but that is the model that we suspect is going to be the best model.
Oregon is a stock I would invest in. I think that you missed the boom, the pre-Dan Lanning buying opportunity, where it was still very speculative. I think it's still a growing company that will continue to rise. You're not going to get the 10x right out of the gate like you might have gotten if you bought it right when he was hired. But this is a team that I feel fairly certain will win a national title in the next decade at some point. That would be a fun show. Which teams do you think will win a national title in the next decade? Who would you buy? I think that would be fun. I think Oregon would be.
Why don't we do that tomorrow?
You want to? So look at that.
Yeah.
Workshopping the shows live 2 days in a row. You want to talk about like money podcasting? You want to talk about?
Hell yeah.
This is the conversation that Andy and I have when the show's over every day. What should we talk about?
I think it's really interesting. There was a stat that David Stern, in his period as NBA commissioner, which was a very long one, only awarded 8 different teams title, like handed the Larry O'Brien trophy to 8 different teams, 8 different franchises. And then Adam Silver in his time has already handed the Larry O'Brien trophy to 9 different franchises. Like, I'm kind of wondering, are we going to enter into a period like that where over the next 10 years, are we going to see 8 different national champs as opposed to 3 different national champs?
Yeah, what would your number be if you had to guess for the next 10 years? How many different teams will win it? I have a
7.
guess. I would say 6.
Yeah, which okay, we'll have to go through the list, but I think 2010 to 2019, that's a 10-year period. How many different teams do we get? We got Auburn, Alabama, Florida State, Clemson.
We'll do 14 to 14. You don't want to mix
LSU. There were 5. There were 5 in that 10-year period.
Yeah, but that 10-year period also had a blend of systems.
Yeah. So do
14 to 24.
14 to 20. So the college football playoff era.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ohio State.
Oh, I didn't miss it. 6. So 6 in 2010 to 2019. So Ohio State,
Bama, Georgia,
Clemson,
LSU,
Michigan.
That's it.
6.
6 is pretty good.
6 is good. Like 7 or 8 would be even better because you like who then jumps into that mix.
I think if you did the 2014 to 24 season, you would have 6-2 in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs
I believe so
3 times, and I think the Eagles won it twice in that period.
Yes. Yep.
So you'd have 6.
So look, parity's hard everywhere.
But
the NBA's got a nice little thing going right now.
I never would have thought, though, that the NFL and the college football would have the same number of total champions over a 10-year period.